I'm doing a burns look today, so an SFX burns effect, and I'm using the Meron bruise wheel, and I've just decanted a little bit of every colour out of that wheel, and I'm starting with the kind of yellowy mustardy colour, and I'm just using a cotton bud, and what I've done is I've picked up that colour and I've just taken off the bulk of the actual pigment on the back of my hand, and now I'm just using circular motions just to rub that into the skin. What I'm doing with the yellow is I'm mapping out where my blisters are going to go, so it's going to show me where all the skin's going to peel, and what it's also doing is just discolouring the skin a little bit for me. Now I'm using this green colour, which is the next colour on the wheel, and again I'm just enhancing that yellow, outlining where the blisters are going to go, and just generally creating that kind of horrible green look on the skin. We don't want it to look like there's any fresh skin, we want it to look really disgusting and like it's all peeling off and going dead. Now I'm using this red colour, again, next colour in the wheel, and again I'm just using it on a cotton bud, and that's just because it's easy, it's what I have to hand, and it's quite easy to replicate if you're on set somewhere, so you don't have to clean tons of brushes. So again, just using it on a clean cotton bud, and again just outlining my blisters, making them really red, looking really sore. And I'm just rubbing a little bit on the fingertips as well, because I'm actually going to kind of create a degloved finger. So now I'm using the kind of reddy browny colour that's in the colour wheel. And again, just enhancing where those red lines were. I'm not going around in a big circle around my blisters. I tend to only kind of highlight a section of the blister, so maybe just like half of the circle, a quarter of the circle, and I'm just rubbing some of this colour along the fingers as well, because I want this to look like really irritated skin. I want it to look like the blood has rushed to the top of the skin. So now I'm going in with this blue purpley colour, and again it's just to really highlight those blisters and make them look really sore, make it look like the skin has been burnt, so it's gone kind of a blacky colour. And I'm rubbing some of that on the fingertips as well, just to enhance that redness and yeah, really make it look irritated. So I'm also using my fingertips as well as the cotton buds to rub out the colour. I don't want any really harsh edges, I want them all to be soft and blended into each other. Okay, so now I'm taking some liquid latex, just on an old piece of sponge. I tend to just buy cheap sponges and cut them up for using latex, and then I can throw them away when I'm done. And I'm just using a really good amount on the sponge, and I'm stippling it round the areas where I've outlined my blisters. Now because the colour's underneath, it's going to look like the colour's coming from underneath the skin rather than if we put the colour on top. And what I'm doing is I'm layering up my latex, and anywhere where it's gone a little bit clear and shiny, I know that it's dried, so I can put another layer on. If you want to speed up this process, you can use a hairdryer. You can wait for it to dry in between each layer as well, that's fine. So I usually aim for around 3 layers of latex minimum. Sometimes I'll build it up to 5 or 7 just if I want thicker layers, make it look like a little bit of more skin has come off, is peeling back. But 3 layers is quite a nice place to start. And I'm just using stippling motions just to kind of put this latex down. So now what I'm doing is I'm adding texture again with the liquid latex, and I'm using the heat from my fingertips, and I'm patting out a really thin layer of liquid latex, and what it does is some of it will come back up with my finger, so it'll create that kind of burnt texture like the skin's peeling away. It's just to add to the burn effect really. Right, this is my favourite part now. So we are creating the ripped holes, the blisters in the skin like they've popped. So what I'm doing is I'm just pulling the skin to each side so it stretches the latex. Always check with your client, make sure they're still okay. And I'm just using my fingers and my thumb just to roll back the latex like the skin's peeled away. I'm also pinching it in places and lifting it up from the skin to make it look like a burst blister. So that, like, it's freshly burst, it's really disgusting, and the skin's just kind of, the leftover skin is just kind of sat there. I'm also pulling along the fingers as well because I wanted to kind of create that degloved finger type look. Nothing like massively extreme, but just to link in with my burn effect. And then again, just rubbing in a few places just to create texture and make it look like the skin is peeled away from the hand. So now I'm going back in with my colours using the Meron Bruise wheel, and I'm using that bright red colour that's in there just on a clean cotton bud, and I'm just shading half of that circle. Again, I only ever shade half the circle and never fill it in fully because I want to create depth. I want it to look like, you know, part of it is really damaged, and you know. So I'm also using my finger to rub out some of the red and just put it over the top of the latex in some places, so it makes it look like really irritated skin. And then I'm also using some of this dark blue black colour, again from the Meron Bruise wheel, and I'm just rubbing that in a few places, kind of making it look like the skin's been really burnt, and maybe there's a little bit of ash across the hand. And just highlighting some of the areas where I've created texture. So I've also taken it onto the wrist because her wrist was looking very fresh and very healthy, and I didn't want that. So I've taken some of the colours down slightly so that you can see that it was the hand that took the brunt of the damage. So now I'm using some coagulated blood, or thick blood, scab blood, any kind of thicker blood, not stage blood. And I'm using a spatula, and what I'm doing is I'm just going in anywhere where I've created a blister, and I'm pushing that blood underneath the latex. And I'm really packing out underneath the latex so that if I do want to create any video effects where I press on the skin and the blood comes out, we can do that, just because it's all sat there underneath like a little parcel. So now I'm taking a stippling sponge, and I'm just using the blood I've put down. I've not used any more on the sponge, just the stuff that's already on the hand. And I'm just patting it out so it looks like there's been blood splatters. Again, just adding to that realistic effect. I don't want it to look like it's been placed on. I want it to look like it's naturally splattered. So now what I'm doing is I'm using a little bit of petroleum jelly. Now clear stuff works a lot better for this. I wanted to kind of simulate secretion from the skin. So when you burn or cut yourself, your skin will naturally secrete to kind of protect itself. So that's what I'm trying to create, but mine was a little bit cloudy, so it didn't kind of give me the exact effect I wanted. So now I'm using the Meron Squirt Stage Blood, and I'm just dropping little bits of it pretty much where the blisters have been, and then tilting the hand so that it sprays downwards. Finally, I'm using the final spray, the final spray seal, and I'm just spraying over the hand. It'll lock in all my colours, all the blood, and what it also does is creates this really cool drip effect and makes it look like really disgusting. So thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you on the next video.